Hello and welcome to Movies, Films, and Flicks. I am Mark Hoffmeyer, and joining me is a man who hates it when random Russian hitmen show up to his front door. It's John Levingood.
Especially if they're like literally twice my size.
Yeah,
That's
I
incredibly inconvenient.
I forgot to say comically large
Like,
Russian
I
hitmen.
mean, like Thomas Jane isn't like a large man, but he's also not like Tom Cruise either. He's like 5'10".
Yeah, I mean for
I,
Hollywood, he's big.
it's funny too. Like I see some things that say he's 5'11" and a half, and some things that say he's 5'10". Like, okay, he's 5'10".
5'9".
But yeah, but he's not like, yeah, he's not your typical, 5'9", 5'7" dashing person wearing lifts. And he's in good shape too, right? Like he's built a bit. And boy, dude, the Russian just looks like the damn cave troll from Lord of the Rings walked in.
That was such a I don't because watching the trailer, I didn't know that Kevin Nash was in this movie. And so when I'm in the theater and Thomas Jane opens up the door and it's just Kevin Nash beating the living tar out of him, they're stabbing each other. The butterfly knife comes back into play. He bats a grenade back into the bathroom. Like it's just
Oh, it's so
there's some very
nonsense.
like it's such a fun little fight. And you know what's neat too is a lot of the stuff that Thomas Jane sets up earlier, or the Punisher Frank Castle sets up earlier, comes back into play. I love when he pulls out that gun and then it just gets smashed with the weight. It's such a silly, amazing fight scene. I would say the reason we're talking about it first is like I think when you talk to most people, they're not going to remember the John Travolta money laundering scheme with two Cubans and like that kind of bit. They think about this house fight because like, you know what, there's well, I love that there's a Russian henchman. There's a dude from Memphis that they call. Like who's next? So you got the guy from Memphis. You have the Russian. Who's the third one here?
I mean, it's like
Bullseye?
Chow Yun Fat from Hard Boiled.
Yeah, Donnie Yen.
For Donnie Yen, right?
Yeah.
It's like a blind Donnie Yen.
Yes, there it is.
He,
Yeah, so Donnie Yen from John Wick 4 shows up. And then if he dies, then it's Mark Dacascos from John Wick 3.
I mean, unfortunately, all the people we're picking would defeat 18 Punishers.
But that'd be funny if they keep losing. And they're like, what's the next step? John Wick? He's retired. Leon? He got blown up. Mark Wahlberg from The Big Hit? Nah.
Lilu Dallas?
Superman? Is, is there like a mutant? Or this is the Marvel Universe. What do we got? Craven? The Hunter? Like
While
what's
we're at it, the two assassins we see are both objectively stupid.
yes.
Like
They
they're so high on hubris that they each should have killed Thomas Jane like 8 times, and only for their serial stupidity does he win.
and listen, I think 99% of the time they win. Like that guy could, Henry Hack could go into every single diner in Harry Heck. I called him Henry Hack.
Harry
Uh,
Heck, right?
Harry Heck could go into any diner in America, walk in, play that song, leave, kill a dude. 99.9%. I guess they just didn't suspect that they were going after a man who watched his wife and kid die, who is a former Navy SEAL. Well, they would have known that though, because John
Because all that
Travolta,
is known. Yeah, that's
yeah.
all well known.
But John, you go into a basketball court. Let's say you're just you're like you live in Tampa. This movie takes place in you live Tampa adjacent. I used to live Tampa adjacent. You step onto a basketball court, John, and you normally steamroll everybody on the playground. You're just messing around with somebody, then you lose. Like I think that could happen to people. But yes, these guys are they could have had him dead 14 times, but they're perfect. Like Harry Heck, he walks in and he plays that song. It's like I wrote that song for you.
I think
Just
he announces that I'm going to try and kill you and then leave.
yeah. He's like, your time will be no more. And he's like, do I know you? And then he just takes a blade to the throat. Not a good hitman. Not good. But do you think yeah, I think he was just a little cocky. But the Russian just likes playing with his
If he just
prey.
didn't do the classic movie trope, although in this case, he might actually be saying something that someone would really say instead of in like a written stupid villain of, oh, you brought a knife to a gunfight. No, the professional assassin would just shoot him. he just shoot him. But really, he would have just walked into the diner and just shot him and walked out of the diner as well. So I guess there's a flaw in my argument that he would have done this when he really could have done that earlier anyway.
You know who kills him? Martin Blank from Ghost Point Blank, because he would just snipe him.
Yep, that's the way to do it.
Martin
But
Blank.
why not? Why not just do that?
Martin Blank could kill the Punisher because he's a good sniper and he's not going to get close. I mean, he's good close combat too. He murders a Benny the Jet with a pen to the neck, and he takes out an entire household. He kills a dude with the TV. Who wins, Martin Blank or the Punisher?
I think in a real fight, this Punisher loses every fight. This
Yeah.
Punisher should have lost against the two goons in the lobby after the money heist, because those two goons would have known it was him, or known he shouldn't be there, see that he's carrying a briefcase and he's looking pretty and walking brief. They just immediately would have pulled out their guns, each of them, while Thomas Jane has one of his hands occupied. So Thomas Jane at best shoots one of them, and at least one of them gets off a shot on him. He should be dead in every scenario in which he could possibly die in this movie. He's never doing everything right. He's always doing things wrong. It's just that the villains are doing things wronger.
Who wins? Since we talked about all three, Dolph Lundgren's Punisher, Ray Stevenson's Punisher, or Thomas Jane's Punisher.
Not Thomas Jane.
Okay, and they're fighting in an IKEA.
Oh, Dolph has Homeland advantage. He's going to know what all those things are. They'll see a box and it'll say like Flugenschleider, and they like won't know what that is, but Dolph will know what it is.
Yeah, it's a machine gun, but he has to assemble it.
Right. Which he'll do faster than them.
That's because he can read the directions.
Right.
Okay, not IKEA. Let's do just a basketball court. And the bleachers are sucked in. So a high school basketball court locked up. Just the basketball court. Seats are sucked in. It's just three of them in that open room. No basketballs, no weapons. There's no hidden Swedish machine guns or meatballs. Who wins?
Not Thomas Jane.
Okay, then who wins between Stevenson and Dolph?
It's tough. I mean, Dolph is the better fighter, but Stevenson is more the grinder. Like that guy he takes punishment the best. And he's also demonstrably in the movies the best at dealing it. He's the most efficient tactically. Again, I think that Dolph, like if they were just like, sparring, would win. But if it's just like a grimy to the death fight, I'm gonna go Ray Stevenson.
Yeah,
on that one.
I'm going Stevenson.
I mean, he's not going to walk out with the same number of teeth, and he's going to have a lot of broken ribs and some internal bleeding probably from Dolph. But I still think Stevens, he's such a grinder. He's going to be the one who wins.
Well, there's a scene in Warzone where he just pops his nose back into place when it's broken.
Hurt me watching it. It hurt watching. Like I heard that and I felt it.
He's so strong he can cut an entire head off with a blade with one swing. Yeah, he's quite powerful in that. So yeah, I'm gonna give it to him in this. But I gotta say, the research about this movie, we both watched this in the theater in 2004, correct?
Yes, definitely.
Okay, so this was the era when X-Men 2, Spider-Man 2, there were some pretty big budget comic book films coming into play, and they had gained some respectability. So when I watched this one, I just remember kind of liking how Tampa it was, because I was living in St. Pete. I was living in Tallahassee, but I think I saw this in St. Pete. But it was very Tampa. But I distinctly remember it feeling quite low budget. But you know that this movie, they originally promised them a $60 million budget, but then it got hacked down to 30 million, which is kind of crazy. So the writer, John Hensleigh, who also wrote The Rock and a bunch of action movies, had to completely rewrite this film just shortly before filming. So I think even with a $30 million budget, this movie looks good. I think the acting's good. I think there's a really good cast of characters. I like the people in his, I guess, tenement building. I think they all pop. The acting's good. But yeah, I almost feel like the $30 million helps it because it's just so lo-fi, this movie. And it's very mean. This is a movie where the Punisher, he gets a lot of people killed and his family gets brutally murdered. It's a very dour film. Ebert said it was very serious and dour and sad. But I kind of like that. I like that. Basically, what I'm saying is I was not ready for how bleak this thing was and how grounded it was after maybe Spider-Man 2 and X2. So I don't know, what were your first thoughts about this movie?
What's funny is that I wouldn't call this movie bleak or dour. I'd call it comical, and I
Oh.
don't mean like a comic book. It's like it does have some heavy scenes, like again, yeah, the family slaughter, John Travolta killing his best friend and his wife, right? But truly, like so many of the other scenes are just so dumb and dumber comical to me that they're like it's not even like a funny scene in a comic book movie. It's a different movie entirely. Like there's a comedy that got spliced with an action movie, and these two movies didn't even belong together, but somehow I don't mind. But like the roommate situation or the down the hall tenement neighbors situation, it's so utterly silly. But then Ben Foster's character has all of his piercings slowly pulled out with a pair of pliers while he's just whimpering, and Will Patton's being insidious. Like, these don't belong in the same movie, these scenes. And like Thomas Jane, like he murders all these people who were connected with slaughtering his whole family, and then he just toys with the guy and sears a steak and touches a popsicle to his back, and
Mm-hmm.
then they're just like
Buddies.
kindly in a friendly manner helping each other afterwards. Like again, these feel like they are absolutely not in the same movie. This is not a funny scene in the serious movie situation. These were written as if they were written by different writers for incredibly different movies to me. Again, I don't mind this weird contrast, but it's very hyperbolic, the differences and the flavors of these scenes. The fight with the Russian, and seeing Saint again stabbing and stabbing and stabbing his pleading best friend.
Yeah. And I guess that's what I'm going to rephrase this. I was not ready for that scene. I was not ready for John Travolta to murder his wife. I was not ready to watch him run up on his wife and Frank Castle to run up on his wife and child who were dead. The Russian's head was burnt, like pushed backwards. The sons are killed. He's like, here's an 8 pound weight. Good luck. Like it's a movie where this guy gets all of his piercings pulled out. I guess I just wasn't ready for that. And it's kind of interesting where at least this film is quite committed to that. I don't know if it's fully fleshed out. That's because they had to change the script probably right before they started filming. But I do think I do admire it for like I think Thomas Jane really commits. I think he adds a lot to the character. I think what he does is good. But yeah, I remember watching it and just going like this is going there. And I think anytime you have Travolta stabbing Will Patton, it's going to be a good scene, especially in 2004. So you bring in Will Patton to play this character, then when he's getting stabbed, you're really bummed for the dude. And then when the
Dude, that
wife,
was that might have been the roughest scene.
yeah, he's just stabbing him. He's like, "Hey man, what are you talking about?" And then when he kills his wife, she, I mean, at the end of the day, she, her son was killed, but then she's like, "I want their entire family killed." So you're kind of like, yeah, this lady kind of had it coming. But just watching how he just rips apart Travolta's life in a very short period of time, I just think it's quite interesting. It went to some places where I just was not expecting this movie to go. I guess I wasn't. Like I like the scene at dinner when they're like, "Hey, this is what I'm thank you for," and he's like, "No, thank you for the meal." Like, there's some good moments in this. I do find a certain closeness to Ben Foster and that little weirdo crew. I was
Mm-hmm.
oddly involved with the movie, and I know you say it's kind of it's two movies, but I guess they I think it's not as gonzo as Warzone because Warzone is like just insane. It's my favorite of the three. But then there's the Dolph Lundgren one, which is basically just a 1980s action film. But yeah, this one found like more emotion to it, and it really is quite gnarly because in Warzone there's a lot of violence and there's a lot of over the top violence, but it's not it doesn't go the emotional places this one does, and the Punisher is not even close. It just has Louis Gossett Jr. yelling a lot. But yeah, that's why I feel like that's why I find these three to be such an interesting. They're all companion pieces to each other because all three of them are completely different. All
Hmm.
three Punishers are completely different, but they each have really kind of each one though has a interesting personality, which is what I like about them. So watching this again was not hard. This movie's 2 hours. I think,
Hmm.
and it goes by pretty quick. I don't know if you need to watch the first 30 minutes when he gets saved by a witch doctor and his kids are killed, but it's a it's a handsomely shot. The car stunts are good. The action scenes are good. They had no time. Thomas Jane said they couldn't do scenes more than 2 takes on this. And I think at the end, it's a very professional product that sold 2 million DVDs the first week it came out. So the movie's made its money back. But but like you're like you said, it's totally uneven. And I think it stretches his budget a little thin, but it still has a personality that I like. I'm glad I
Hypothesis. And
revisited this.
I'm going to give another pair of scenes that I feel like don't match up, and I'm going to give you a hypothesis, and I want to get your take on it. So there's how dour Thomas Jane is to the neighbors. He doesn't even talk to them. It's very and again, then he's joking around with the popsicle. He literally shows the popsicle to the guy who thought he was being tortured, and he's fine. And then they're all cool, right? It's so weird to me that that's the same Thomas Jane in the same 8 hour span of his character's life,
So,
right? But wait, here's my we have all these movies that have all this invasive producers like saying what needs to be in there and be rewritten. What if the producers were like, we need all this light, cute, kitschy set of neighbors, and we want this kind of a fun little scene and this kind of fun, and they're adding all this to the heavy movie, and normally that makes these movies just not work. And I'm sorry to say it, but like, what was it, Guardians 3 with Thor or something like that? It just, Guardians 3 didn't stick. But in this case, even though I feel like producers were forcing writers and directors to change the movie a lot and have these very uneven things, I feel like a very good job was done making it work as best as they could, even though I think that there's an unreasonable polarity between the kind, levity, silly, and harsh, brutal, mean. Like, I feel, again, I didn't watch this thinking like, this movie, clearly the producers ruined it. That's not what I'm thinking. I'm thinking the producers almost ruined it, and the director and the actors and the writers did their best to save it.
so okay, I think I have an answer for you to that.
Okay.
So this was shot in 52 days with a lot of stunts, and they couldn't do scenes more than twice. Also, Jonathan Hensleigh, this was his first film that he directed. So before this, he had written Armageddon, he had written The Saint, he had written The Rock, he had worked on Young
Are
Indiana Jones.
seriously fun and cool
Yeah.
movies.
And so the guy, a good writer, very good writer. Now, this is what I think happened. It's a first-time director who had his budget cut in half, and he had 52 days to get this insane film shot. What happened was there's a documentary where it's not a documentary, but it's a 7-minute clip where they talk about the fight between the Russian and the Punisher or Thomas Jane. And you should watch it. Thomas Jane does a lot of his own stunts. But what Kevin Hart said, not Kevin Hart,
Nash.
Kevin
Kevin
Nash.
Nash.
What Kevin Nash said, Big Sexy Diesel said, is that he said that in the script that he got, the Punisher is a lot more lighthearted. But he said that Thomas Jane spent 7 months prepping for this. He did most of his own stunts. He trained with Navy SEALs. He learned how to drive. He did a lot of work for this movie. But he said the intensity of Thomas Jane made everything much more serious on set. And so a lot of people felt the need to kind of step up to him. So if you're a first time director, you have to shoot your movie really quick, 1, 2 scenes. You're just trying to survive your days. And you have an actor who's probably a little bit more intense than the script calls for, but you're moving so fast and you're a first time director and your actor is so dedicated. I mean, Thomas Jane put his blood in, like, he put everything he had into this movie. So I wonder if while they were shooting, there were just scenes that were a lot more intense, but they didn't really get caught. And then there were some more comedic bits that were in the script, but then some were played more seriously. And at the end, you get that tonal change because first time director, fast shooting script. Thomas Jane played it a little bit more intense than was what on the page. And I think you kind of have that unevenness. That's my theory. And I don't think it's anybody's fault. I just think they were trying to survive this day. I mean, the director basically said that he was trying to figure out how to get enough shots every day for this movie because there's a lot of explosions. There's a lot of going on. So that's my theory. I don't know. I didn't read anything about producers getting in the way. I just think they were on a tight schedule. They moved really fast. Thomas Jane was a little bit more intense in scenes than they anticipated, and thus the the performance. That's my theory.
Okay. By the way, you mentioned that the budget got halved, but when the budget got halved, I imagine John Travolta, who was super hot at the time, still got paid the same. So if
Yeah.
John Travolta gets paid, we'll call it $5 or $7 million when it was 60 million, but he's still getting paid $5 or $7 million when it's 30 million. Actually, you lost more than half your budget.
Yeah, I would agree. And I don't think
That
he's really taken back end on this. So yeah, he at least got 5 million. Let's say
he
you know,
was big then, and this is very shortly on the coattails of like Swordfish. I mean, Travolta was putting out bangers then.
yeah, yeah. So let's say he gets 5 mil. Is that fair?
Right,
At
but
least
yeah, 5 mil is a twelfth of 60 million, but
yeah.
it's a sixth of
So
30 million.
when you have 60 million, you can take more time. So I think they were just trying to get their days. I really do. And also too, I like that since they're shooting in Tampa where cigars are impressive. We've talked about this before. Travolta's villain is smoking. I like that he smokes a pipe in this movie. Because in Swordfish, he smokes like he's throwing darts. But he does
Mm-hmm.
like a weird thing where he's palming his face. And then in Broken Arrow, he smokes like he's throwing darts. And then in Broken Arrow, he just smokes the entire time between his middle finger and pointer finger. So this one, after
You're
three,
a stylish smoker. You wrote about that, didn't
yeah,
you, years ago?
after Pulp Fiction, he just started smoking nonstop. So I think with this movie, he went, I've been too evil with smoking cigarettes lately. I'm gonna smoke a pipe. So then this one he busts out a pipe, which makes me laugh. But yeah, that's just my thing. I really think okay, so Travolta gets that money. He's here for 20 days. And also too, they had to get all these stunts during this time. So yeah, I really think they were just trying to get by. And I think Thomas Jane added a little bit more intensity. That's my thought. But I have a couple questions for you. Now, does John Travolta's character, Howard Saint, does he have a whiskey snifter in his bathroom?
I love that you pointed this out, and I now want to live that life. I I don't really think I'd be going for it very often. The wife and I don't really watch much TV in bed, actually. But, like for when I do, I would love to be like, honey, I'm going to fetch a drink. And I just walk 7 feet away from the bed and pull a snifter. Or I'm sorry, not, I mean, I pull a decanter off my counter. And of course, my counter is much smaller than his. It's a little ensuite bathroom, so it takes up most of the counter. But still, I will get a counter and a glass. I don't know where the glass is, and I will have my whiskey or my brandy or whatever cognac that he has. But yeah, that was interesting. Like it's unmistakably too large to be anything like a cologne, a perfume, an aftershave, and anything like that. A mouthwash. Oh my god, what if it was mouthwash
That's a lot of mouthwash.
and a decanter?
Yeah, you know what I was thinking? He has so much like not perfume. He has so much cologne and everything. So I was like, is it just a giant bottle of cologne? But
But the top is
yeah,
glass. So
exactly.
so unless he's picking up an 8 or 12 pound thing with his hand over it and flipping it upside down real quick, like you're gonna get spritzy messes around if you do.
Yeah,
Like maybe if it was Kevin Nash's, like he
yeah.
could do that with a giant cologne
Or
thing,
Kevin Hart's.
or Kevin Hart. He's a strong guy. He's in good shape. But but yeah, man, that's a fun set design like style note right there. I like that.
Just he has the whiskey or it could be cognac, one of those. But I like that he has a huge snifter in his bathroom to live
Like
that.
I need that. I gotta up my game on that seriously.
All right, now for your birthday, I'll send one your way. Another one too. I don't know if you noticed this, but during the shootout in the beginning, when Castle's getting his family killed, this guy runs to this grill and starts shooting at Roy Scheider and Frank. But I love they shoot this salad bowl, and all the salad goes flying, but the bowl goes nowhere. Like that's a good salad bowl. Did you notice that? And then there's the continuity wasn't good because it keeps being full again. So it led me to believe that there's a magical salad bowl in this world. I don't know if you have any thoughts about that.
Like because it's the Marvel universe, it was actually like it belonged to Russell Crowe's Zeus,
Yeah,
and it ended up somehow there.
I,
Because the TVA was hopping all over the place.
I just love
I
movies
guess.
where squibs go off and it's just, the soda cup goes nowhere, but the soda shoots in the air. But in this one, salad goes flying, John. And I've just never really noticed salad like that before, and it just made me happy. Now,
Why do you have another question? Because I actually have a question for you.
okay, yeah, you do a question, I'll do a question.
Why do you think they decided to have this family event and family massacre specifically in Puerto Rico and not just in Miami Beach where his dad lives or something like that, and keep it very Floridian, or God forbid, even just an area off of a ritzy area of Tampa? Why did they go to Puerto Rico? Because it created no value added. There were no barriers that we saw that the bad guys had to pass through. They just appeared there like it was just as easy as if it was down the street. Why even tell us, oh, Puerto Rico? Why is it Puerto Rico? Why isn't it just a family reunion and on the beach in Florida? It, I mean, there's so much massacring going on in the news in Tampa during this movie. It's not like that becomes an outstanding, unusual thing. They depict Tampa like it's, I don't know, like RoboCop era violence.
Okay,
So, why do you think that they chose that? Why?
so Howard
That's
Saint's distribution, where do you it probably goes all over the state, correct?
sure.
And
Why
then,
not?
this German that our guy plays, he's dead, so they're probably not looking for him. I don't I guess if I was in Tampa one day and I was on a sting where the biggest money launderer in Florida who works with huge drug dealers' son gets killed, I don't know if I'd want to kick it in Miami, e- or the Keys, or Jacksonville, or Daytona Beach, or the Panhandle. Like, I think I'd want to get out of there. Just
They were still coming home because when he's talking to his son about moving, nothing's packed up.
oh
So, see, it's
yeah,
not like they were going from Puerto Rico to London.
I think I would have gone to London immediately because
Make more sense.
yeah, there's some blowback there, but it's and then they're totally off guard. And the biggest bummer for me is that there's a jet ski there and he never jumps on it.
Probably good though, because usually movies fail with jet skis,
yeah,
as your
yeah,
thorough historic analyses
yeah,
have
yeah.
proven.
Yeah, I mean, listen, this is I think it's just an excuse to get them somewhere that's idyllic and then be like, hey, we're happy, and then murder them. So it's, I'm not quite sure how it happens in the comic books. Like, I know the Russian is from the comic book. I know they took a lot of elements. The tenement buildings from the comic book, the three people living there was from the comic book. They change a lot of things, but they do have that. But it's, yeah, that's the whole time you're watching it, there's no armed guards. I don't know. You do something like that and then you duck out. That's, yeah, I don't know. I think,
And while you say from the comic book, it's interesting too because I would say that the Punisher movies, none of them truly feel like comic book movies. Warzone might be the closest because it's just like the brutal action Punisher, but like truly none of these actually feel like they're based on a comic book truly. Like if you didn't know the Punisher was a comic book, you would never guess any of these movies were connected to a comic book.
no, that's fair. I think, yeah, I think the closest is Warzone, just because the Punisher could just be Death Wish or another type film. The
Mhm.
original could just be a 1980s action film. But when you watch Warzone, you're just like, this is a comic book come to life. So I think that's the closest you're gonna come.
Right. The over the topness is at
Yeah.
least there. And again, a lot of the Punisher series were actually most of the Punisher series were quite brutal, and it was really capturing that. But the other two, I mean, this 2004 Punisher has its brutal moments, but that is, I wouldn't call that the tone of the movie. It has a few spikes.
I-
It's more emotionally brutal than violently brutal.
yeah, just it's kind of crazy that, but I mean, anytime you hire Will Patton, then it's, you know, I feel like that's, and he gets stabbed to death. He's
He
gonna
is a
sell
great
it.
bad guy, man. This
Yeah,
this and the Postman. I mean, I think the Postman is next level. It's not a fair, but he doesn't play a lot of bad guys. And this, boy, he's such a nice guy when he smiles. He just seems like such an, you wouldn't think that when he's snide or that his resting face could have such menace, and then that same calm nice voice, while altering the tone ever so slightly and the dialogue, like the script if you will, all of a sudden again menace. That man,
yeah,
that dude, he's frightening. He could have been like the bad guy in, what was it, The Judge with Bryan Cranston. He could have been an antagonist in that very easily, and just take a little bit of the ultra glitzy, ultra rich, villain servantness out of it.
no, but he gets a lot of time in this movie too,
Oh yeah.
and
That's
the
an interesting thing, actually. A lot of the secondary characters don't feel as secondary because so many characters get a lot. The wife actually kind of gets a lot of screen time.
mhm.
The lackey that he recruits via popsicle torture has throughout the movie many scenes punctuated throughout the movie, including manipulating Saint later and helping set up the wife and Glass. Like, so like it's almost like it's an ensemble movie, even though there's the protagonist, the antagonist, and then all these side characters that get swept up in it, but they all get a lot of attention. So I guess that helps us feel it more when if they meet a bad fate. And I wouldn't even say it contributes to the unevenness we were describing earlier. It's just different. It's a different approach to show so much of their stories.
Mhm.
I feel like a lot of movies would just say what he's going to do, hand wave it in a quick montage, and we've set up the wife. You know what I mean? You wouldn't see as much happening. We wouldn't see Glass spend two scenes at a hotel and walking out of the parking lot like, gosh, where is this guy who's trying to blackmail me? And by the way, I realize that it's 2024 now and this movie was 20 years ago, but it was 20 years ago, not 60 plus years ago. Do we really think that Saint in the Tampa area would really have had a problem if he knew that his best friend and consigliere was gay? And while we're at it, it's his best friend and his most trusted whoever for like 30 years. How does he not know that anyway? And why would he care? I'm not convinced that he would have cared.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, it would have taken, because in the beginning when he's watching him dance with his wife, he's jealous already. So yeah, they never touch on that
Although
either.
you know that he does that. Oh, dance with my wife. Like, that's just a thing that
Yeah.
happens,
And it's,
right?
but I will say about, I think it's smart to add a lot of characters to this movie, because the Punisher himself, he's not a very interesting character. So in this movie, it just seems like he is very serious. He drinks a half a bottle of wild turkey every night. Incredibly in shape, by the way, John. Another jacked alcoholic in cinema. But you need more characters. This is really random, but I figured out how much alone time all the MCU characters have in their movies. It's like in Captain America Civil War, Captain America's 4%. In
When
Winter
you say
Soldier,
alone time, could you define that?
okay, so in the film Captain America Winter Soldier, Captain America is in the movie 43 point, like 45% of the film. He's in it. But he only actually is on screen by himself, existing in his own world. So he's not with Black Widow. He's by himself. So in
Okay.
Civil War, it's 4%. In Winter Soldier, 5%. These like in Thor the Dark World, 2%. Like I think like Thor's a good character, but you don't really, in those first couple movies, he's not interesting enough to like spend a lot of alone time with. That's why there's so many other characters. But if you look at the Iron Man movies or the Spider-Man movies, they have a lot more. So in Spider-Man Homecoming, Tom Holland has 27% of his, so he's on 57% of the film he's in, but he has 27% like alone time. That's the most. And Tony Stark he's alone on screen for 20% of each of his films when it's just him existing, because he can hold that screen. He's an interesting character. He creates, he builds, he's likable. So I think Punisher, you just can't, you need Will Patton, you need the son, you need the Russian, you need the dude from Memphis, you need the subplots, you need the guy who gets popsicle, like the Rebecca Romijn, the Ben Foster. I think because he just doesn't talk much and there's not much life to him. He's not like the most interesting character. So I think with all these Wolverine, with all these Punisher movies we've watched, he's never really alone all that much, because I think you almost have to make if it's a movie, you almost have to make it an ensemble piece, because you can't
Mhm.
just focus on the Punisher. I think Barenthal gets more time in the MCU show, but that's a different type of Punisher. And it's also Barenthal. He's just, whenever you look at the guy, he's like, this dude's thinking something. So I think he could handle that a little bit more. I know that's random to say, but I think when you have these Punisher movies, it's just he just wants to kill. So he's not but I think that's smart though. They bring in some really big names and interesting actors to kind of build the world around him. But yeah, you're right, the popsicle scene's not great. Like sticks it in his mouth because it's like against everything that he's done. Maybe he's just trying to be buddies with him so that he can tell on, like, is he playing him? If that makes sense? Like he's saying,
Still, the consequences are very high
yeah,
if he gets nervous around Saint. He needs to be fearful.
yeah,
Again, this is one of the reasons I think that, like, again, it's I feel like that's a very forceful producer, does not fit in this movie inherently by sheer bullet point. Like the storyboard wouldn't have made sense to me, yeah, regardless of how they executed it and did the line readings. Like, but again, normally when I would say things like this, it would be a problem. I think it's a problem. It's not ideal, but they made this kind of, I don't want to use the word kooky. It sounds negative. I don't want to use a word that could be construed as negative, but this kind of, not zany. It's just for a Punisher movie. It's off kilter.
yeah. No, no, I'm with you.
Uh,
It,
it's funny too. Like, if you told, like, someone who was 20 years old who watched all of Thomas Jane's movies in reverse order, that Thomas Jane was cast as Punisher, that it wouldn't make sense to them. Of course, this was, shortly after the success of Deep Blue Sea. He's playing like the tough, almost ex-Connie kind of guy dealing with the shark, and so it's like, yeah, at the time it worked, but then you look at a lot of other, Thomas Jane's other work. It's like, really, Thomas Jane as Punisher? So in the movies, he's the least likely to be cast as Punisher to me. And then the irony is that before I saw John Bernthal as Punisher, even less likely, John Bernthal is in scary shape, and he's not necessarily short, but he is the smallest man out of the four people to play Punisher. And yet on screen, turns out that even though he's the last person I would have expected to be cast as Punisher, is perhaps the most convincing Punisher.
yeah, I think you're right. But I also think those shows with Daredevil, the fight scenes in those shows were so good and the casting was so good. So,
Still, his execution of his face, and you're
oh, no,
right. They did a good, dire, brutal, steady tone there.
the,
I'm with you.
the great thing about Barenthal, though, if he's eating chicken that he enjoys, he's still going to be looking pretty bummed. Like, I just think everything he does is pretty intense. And he has this sort of weight on his shoulders. Like, we saw him at the Comic Cons. He's not that big, but you feel like he could take care of himself. Like, if he got pissed at you and put his finger in your face, you'd be like, I'm gonna get out of here. So I think he has a physicality, and I don't know, he just feels tortured, so he works well. But no, you're right. You don't mess with him that show. But he was so deadly though. The opening shootout and the fight scenes. So I think, yeah, but he gets so much more time, and I think he's so much of a different actor than Dolph Lundgren and Thomas Jane and Ray Stevenson were. He's very introspective. I think he's very. If you're gonna have a Punisher, you got. If you're gonna cast him, you're gonna need that angst with him. But no, he's who? What if we threw in? Would he beat those guys? If the four Punishers in this gymnasium fought, who'd win?
For what we've seen in the show, it's
Yeah.
going to be Bernthal somehow.
Oh,
I mean,
yeah.
I do. I think so. They made him so brutal and such a tactical menace. Again, Ray Stevenson, he had some good tactics, but he's not necessarily fighting people with good tactics. He's normally taking them by surprise, and he's a grinder. His skill is that he's a grinder and that he just
And
outlasts
he's huge.
these numbers of people who aren't the best skilled.
Yeah.
Right? Lundgren, he's just in a cop movie, and he's not Showdown in Little Tokyo Dolph. He's
No.
not Red Scorpion Dolph. So again, I'm going to say no. And Thomas Jane, again, I don't even know how that guy didn't die 48 times in this movie. So no, I think that John Bernthal is the guy who, yeah, he takes a couple big hits, but he's actually just biding his time to do a little Krav Maga punch to the trachea and then gouge your eye and then punch you 18 times in the ribs while you're choking on your own blood and your trach. Like he's doing the things that work.
Yeah, he's definitely post Wick Raid Punisher,
Yeah.
whereas Dolph was 80s Punisher. I think Thomas Jane was very much so 2004 Punisher, where I think the big heroes had gone, and he wasn't like Matrix style. He was just more grounded. And then Ray Stevenson was just a comic book because that movie's insane and it's awesome. But yeah, I think Wick. No, I'm sorry, Punisher definitely was aided by Wick and definitely aided by the Raid and the fight crew
Mm-hmm.
on
Sure,
Daredevil.
sure, right.
So,
And it made that level of violence more acceptable.
mhm. And also, I just want to before we get out of here, like we have more to talk about, but I like the cinematography by Conrad Hall in this. Now, this guy was the camera op. You're gonna like this. He was the camera op on Tequila Sunrise. He was the cinematographer of Panic Room. He was on Ferris Bueller's Day Off. He was a cam op on Free Willy, Under Siege 2, 7. He was David Fincher's guy. He worked on Alien Resurrection, Grosse Point Blank. He had worked with Travolta before on a civil action. He was the director of photography on America. He was a camera op on Fight Club. Like he had worked a lot of films, and then he jumped on as the cinematographer of this right after shooting Panic Room. And I think he did a good job. The one interesting thing he said about the fight with the Russian, since Kevin Nash, Big Sexy, Diesel, and Thomas Jane did a lot of their own stunts, there's a lot of great wide shots. It's not hyper cut to make room for stuntmen. Now, when they fall down the stairs, those are stuntmen. But it's nice that he let that scene breathe. That scene is not cut into oblivion. Like I love that it takes its time. And there's a lot of great scenes where someone gets stabbed, they pull the knife out to stab somebody else with that knife. And I really like how relaxed it is and how wide they shoot that scene. And like the song is great. There's definitely some silly parts things in this. Like Thomas Jane looks really silly in certain parts.
Well, like
But
when he sees the gun get hit by
yeah,
the
yeah,
dumbbell, like
exactly. And it's like he gets oil in his face. That's from the comic books. But I do think I like how it really took its time. And also with a lot of the gunfights, like the opening gunfight when they're driving those trucks along the beach, like they did real practical car flips, and you can see the guys on the back of those trucks. So I really like even the jump off the bridge with the car. They did that. Of course, they did that practically, but I watched how they did that, and this is a neat movie because I think they did a really smart job with the money they had, and they just made it look really good. Like this is a very intelligently filmed movie with a lot of great wide shots. The car, I like that the streets are wet, but it's Florida and it could have rained 3 minutes ago, then stopped. So of course the streets might be wet. So I like that Florida showers play a part in this movie. But I don't know what you thought about the cinematography. I just like
there
that
are a
it
lot of beautiful shots.
yeah,
It's interesting, like of the city, of sunsets, of the beach. It's funny because all the other Punisher movies, even though the Dolph one has some, daytime cop investigation scenes, they're never going out of their way to show you cityscapes. No one's thinking about that when they're making that movie. John Bernthal, there are some great shots, but they're not trying to give you any beauty or grandeur or anything, or bright. By the way, bright. This is bright like Tampa's bright.
Yeah.
And again, like Ray Stevenson, he's just going around at night. You'd think it was always chilly and humid the
Yeah.
way he's running around out there. Like, so this was interesting how even the night shots, when you're seeing someone leave the hotel and they're 50 feet away from the hotel, even if though they're not under a street light, you see everything clean and crisp and pretty. Like this is like the very manicured high class Punisher in many ways because of that.
Yeah, isn't it? Like, and it looks good. It's nice and bright. It feels Florida, which is nice. It feels Tampa, aside from how violent it is. But I don't know. I think you know what I like too is it's just a good looking movie. That's it. It's a good looking movie with committed performance. Like even Rebecca Romaine, we haven't talked about her. Her character is incredibly available and really into him from day one, even though he's just drinking and keeping everyone up and fighting everybody, and you have no idea what he's up to. Like she's good in this. I like Ben Foster in this movie. It's it's an interesting one. I don't know why it has why do you think it has a 29% tomato meter score?
Because the movie doesn't feel like a comic book movie, and some critical people might take what I say about the unevenness and what you say about the unevenness and call that a wretched flaw.
Yeah.
Like I it's really, you normally when we say this feels like two different movies got cut together, it's an indictment on the filmmakers. I don't mean it that way. You don't mean it that way in this particular case. But most of the time we say things like that, it's a harsh criticism. And again, this didn't not feel like a comic book movie, but it also didn't feel like a comic book movie.
No,
The
not at all.
Russian scene, the Russian scene felt like a comic book movie. The rest of it didn't.
Do
Um,
do we want to see a cheeky Punisher? Like, I don't know if I want to see the Punisher because he's going on a quest to just murder people. So I guess with the popsicle bit and his cheeky reactions, does the world need that from a
right?
Punisher?
Is he too nice for someone who's called the Punisher to some people anyway? Like I don't know. I
I saw
29%. I don't know if I'm surprised, but that seems a bit low to me.
Yeah, you know what's interesting? All of them are 28 or 29, all three Punisher movies. No, I have a question for you too. I watched a movie called Silent Night where
Oh, the
Joel
new one. I
with
haven't seen that
with
yet.
John Woo. John Woo directed it, where Joel Kinnaman, his kid gets killed during a drive-by, and he also gets shot in the throat, so he can't talk anymore. In that movie, he can't talk anymore, but he just completely alienates his wife, never talks to her. She leaves him. And I'm not going to say much more, but he basically is just committed to a year of training and then murdering as ugly as possible. And it's a really violent and like gory, and it doesn't glamorize revenge. But I mean, I don't even know. Do we want that from this version of Punisher? It's an interesting character to tackle because this is a guy who kills. And I think if you make a show where he doesn't kill, you're you're probably running into some trouble because it's not the Punisher anymore. So he is kind of a tough character to tackle because he can't be sane and he can't just I just want my kids back like Tom Jane says in Arrested Development. Like he can't have a heart of gold, and you don't know if you want him joking because he's out there murdering people. So it's a really tough character to want to make a movie out of, isn't it?
Sure, yeah. Unless you just want a grimy movie.
Because like even a sequel, what's the sequel? He got revenge, and now he's like, I'm just gonna keep killing people. Then you get a little worried. That's why I like Michael Keaton's Batman because he just sits around his house doing nothing, waiting for the bat signal so he can go kill people. Like he kills a lot of people in those first two movies, in Returns and Batman. Like he's not sociable, and he is a bit nuts. You want to go nuts? I like that about him, and I think that's the way I would maybe like my Punisher, just a little bit insane. or not caring. But I don't know if I'd want to see him bowling with a group of people. So it's you almost write yourself in a corner a little bit if you get into a sequel. So maybe that's why none of them have had that, because it's, how do we sequelize this guy? And because each film I feel like has to make him more likable, because you don't want to just keep seeing the hero of your film murdering drug dealers. He doesn't have another family to kill. I just find that interesting, John. We're not going to solve that today. We're not Marvel, and I know the comic books carried that on, but I'm just talking about as far as like a
Mhm.
movie universe. Maybe that's why, I don't know. Yeah, we're not going to get an answer to that. I was just talking, but it's an interesting character to tackle, I think, because you don't really. What do you do with him? What What do you think, John? Like, what would a sequel be like with this Thomas Jane Punisher?
I mean, I feel like the first movie would have to end in a very cliche way, like, I've got my vengeance, but there are more horrible people doing horrible things to good people, and they get away with it. And then they show like some reel of like, some mafia boss who just got like acquitted because
Hey,
it, yeah. And then like the second movie, yes, then it's him going, whoever the fuck that is. Oh, I just didn't mean to swear.
yeah,
That's our one F bomb. That's our
yeah,
one F
that's one of
bomb.
them.
Don't make it. But like, and then he's going after, I don't know now, the kingpin or whoever is that guy who
Oh,
got acquitted in the end of credit scene of the first movie, and so he's just, because like he's done this and he has no purpose or no reason to live if he doesn't continue. So he needs to find the next horrible perpetrator to his sense of values, and you just wash, rinse, and repeat. But that's all it is, though, right? It's wash, rinse, and repeat.
mm-hmm.
Unless again, like, you find some way where a character or a struggle, like, in an Iron Man sequel, gives this character pause or some reason to a reason to live instead of just a reason to kill. But but this comes back to what you were originally saying. Very challenging to address that with this character. A
Yeah.
redemption story, is that what we want for a Punisher? Because then he's not really the Punish. Does he turn into the hand slapper? Is he still just brutally flaying people? It's
The hands. Hey, you, knock it off. The hand.
right. Like,
Here's a slap on the hand.
I think I agree with this stuff, but then again, a lot of people in many ways do want more of the same. And even though it doesn't please critics, it pleases a lot of the popcorn crowd.
Yeah, maybe he just meets a kid, and then the kid's like, and he takes him under his wing. Then the kid gets kidnapped. He's like, oh, I gotta go kill these traffickers now. And then the next film, he meets a really great lady and starts living on her land, and he becomes a beekeeper. But then she gets swindled all out of all of her money, and
Beekeeper's a
then
great movie.
yeah, and then he goes and murders all the people. So it just becomes that, where it's like kung fu, but he meets somebody, they die, then he kills everyone. There we go. And also, I want to give props to Saint for when his kid shows up. He's like, "Hey," he's like, all right, so at first his son, he's like, "Hey, where's Will Patton at?" I know Will Patton has a name, but I just really like Will Patton, so I'm just gonna
Glass is the
yeah,
last
yeah.
name.
So
Yeah.
I'm just gonna keep calling him Will Patton. Yeah, hey, where's Glass at? Where's Quentin Glass at? He's wrapped up in something. Hey, where's Mom? She took a train. He does the double in that because Glass is wrapped up in carpet and she took a train. He killed his
Mhm.
wife. But John, have you ever heard the double before?
The Double.
Well, because when someone's like, stick around, or where is he? Oh, he's taking a nap, or he's getting
Oh, like
pre.
so two of those in.
Have you ever heard two in a row? He's dead tired.
Maybe not. Maybe not. That's hard to say. I need to recount some not Schwarzenegger movies because they're all truly one-liners, but maybe a Rock movie.
Right.
Maybe like The Rock has pulled that.
I almost wish there was a third one that he. What else could he be? So he's wrapped up in something. They took a train. Let's see. He's
What happened to Heck? Stuck a pin in it. I don't know. That doesn't even really.
yeah. Uh, let's he throw. Where's the Russian? He's headed this way. Wait, like, I don't
He
know.
got tripped up on something. Like, I don't know, like something dumb.
Yes, and just what about this? And he just never tells the truth. But yeah, I like that. He's like, wrapped up in something. And he took a train. But I like the final like bow and arrow thing. He's just killing the heck out of people. I like the super grenade, that the champagne super grenade. I love, these guys have the Punisher coming to kill him, and they're like, "Oh, where's the champagne?" And I
By the
love
way,
that.
what was the champagne grenade? What was the cord attached to?
A wireless thing, maybe? I don't know. That's
Because the cord was attached to the
oh, you're
bottle.
right. It
And if
was.
it was attached all the way up, because you need to go way high on the bottle, right? I
Yeah.
guess it could be somewhere around the middle with almost like a little like a noose like knot. But I guess that would go unnoticed. But when all they do is lift up and I see that, I'm like, what was that attached to? Because it's not attached to the bottom of a wine bottle. I just remember seeing that, and that's the first thing I thought. It's like, what's that on?
That's a champagne super grenade right there. So
That
I
was
love
that
that.
was that was pretty serious.
I mean, there's a lot to like in this movie. I like that Travolta has Honduran cigars and not Cuban cigars. That made me laugh. I
And that was a slight against him.
uh,
Don't touch the Cubans. And he
yeah.
he he has it like, these are Honduran. He throws it on the ground like Hondurans are trash. Like,
I like that there's a guy eating pizza while making pasta. That made me laugh. I like that there's a witch doctor. Yeah, it's a local witch doctor. And then he just next time you see the guy with a beard and he's still alive. But it's I don't know. I dig this movie. It's like you said, it's not even. I think it got cut in half. They had to shoot it. It was a first time director. They were shooting 7 days a week. So that's a quick shooting schedule. But I think in the end it's good. And I think it's sold a lot on DVD. And I think most importantly, it has a personality to it. Like I think it's not a movie where you feel nothing. There's enough scenes in here, like the Russian, like Will Patton getting killed, the torture scene. I think there's enough effectiveness in it and enough like gonzo ideas. The guy just comes in and plays the guitar that make it worthwhile. And I think it almost makes it kind of like an underdog that you sort of root for. And I feel like that's what the Punisher is in that world. So I dig it. But before we get going, John, I know I got to get you out of here. I put together. I asked on Facebook. Just I figured I'd ask what people's favorite fights are in comic book films, and I got a lot of responses. So I'm just going to read those real quick, and then I'm going to share with you the ones I love.
so these aren't people ranking any. It's just
Yep,
here's their top a bunch of top picks, right?
copy that. Yep, people are sharing their top pick. So right now, let's see. Let me go. Let me pull up all comics. So on Movie Sons and Flicks Facebook, you should follow us. Allie Maxwell loves the Punisher fight and the Howard the Duck versus Dark Overlord. Aaron Newworth.
Howard the Doctor.
That's
I'm
amazing.
sorry.
Aaron Newworth said he's like, I'm going to go with one-on-one fight. So train fight from Spider-Man 2, the final fight in Spider-Man, the waterfall fight between M'Baku and Black Panther the claws fight between Wolverine and Lady Deathstrike next to. That's a good one. The street
That
fight
was a good one.
between Captain America and the Winter Soldier and Winter Soldier. Underground, Batman vs. Bane, Dark Knight Rises, Friend from Work, Thor vs. Hulk, Thor Ragnarok, Go to Sleep, Iron Man vs. Hulk in Avengers Age of Ultron, Jesse Deal says the Batman warehouse fight in Batman v Superman, Dawn of Justice, Raphael meets Casey Jones in TMNT 1990, Superman versus Clark Kent in Superman 3, which is a fun fight, and Blade at the Blood Disco and Blade. And then we have, pulling these up here, Buddy Deal, Logan, and Wolverine versus X-24 at the farm, Shang-Chi bus fight, The Flash, Bat Keaton in the Russian prison, and not a movie, but Daredevil season 1, episode 2, hallway one shot. Great fight. Nathan
It's a
LaHaye,
famous one, yeah.
Scott Pilgrim, Matthew Patel versus Scott. For most people, they didn't know what to expect from the flick, and that threw a ton of people for a loop. Infinity War and a Wakanda defense battle. Watchmen, technically it's a fight, albeit a short one. Rorschach's "You're trapped in here with me" moment was the best part in the whole movie. Man of Steel, Kal-El versus Zod end battle. He loves all the destruction and collateral damage. X2 Nightcrawler infiltrates the White House. Punisher William Underwood, Punisher 89 in the 1930s old timey amusement park. Reese Dunlap, Spider-Man getting absolute manhandled by Green Goblin in No Way Home, which is a great fight. Well, that's a really good fight in No Way Home. The Avengers versus Thanos and Infinity War. Scott Pilgrim versus the vegan police, which I love because it's Tom Jane. Elevator scene from Winter Soldier. And then Rhino Alberts, Shang-Chi bus fight, Batman warehouse fight, Cap and Bucky versus Iron Man, Night Owl and Rorschach versus Osmandius, Watchmen, V versus Fingerman, V for Vendetta, Deadpool highway scene, Deadpool. Then he has Avengers versus Thanos and Army, and then Hulk smash and Avengers versus Chitauri, Avengers airport battle, Civil War, the the battle in Wakanda in Infinity War, Avengers vs. Ultron, Age of Ultron, and Shang-Chi final battle. And then last but not least, we have Jack Austin. And let me read his replies. Deadpool and Wolverine, Honda Odyssey fight, Guardians 3 hallway fight, Blade 2 sewer battle against the Reapers, Hellboy first fight with Samael. He said he didn't know how to spell it. Batman Dark Knight Rises first fight with Bane. Avengers Infinity War Battle of Wakanda, Kick-Ass, Hit Girl fighting for Big Daddy. Ultimate Avengers Hulk versus everyone. And then he said he loves the Punisher versus Russian fight as well. That's a lot of fights that I just read, but they're great. And I'm very happy that everyone recommended them. But I'm going to share my fights with you, John. I'm going to see what you think. I'm going to go Spider-Man 1 when Goblin fights Peter. I don't know if you remember this, but remember when Spider-Man came out in '01, when just you didn't quite know what to expect. And at the end, when Goblin throws that grenade and Spider-Man's mask gets ripped off, and he gets
Yeah.
all bloody, and Goblin pushes him to the limit on that fight, and then he even tries to cheat and dies. But I didn't expect how bloody that would get and how deathy that one would be. Then there's a fight in Dark Knight when they're doing the fundraiser for Harvey Dent and Joker interrupts it. But I like when Joker and his goons fight Batman because I like that Joker jumped in and just started throwing punches. Like that made me happy. He had like a knife boot. And I think that's why I loved Heath Ledger's Joker is like he'll swing. Like he'll just walk up to Batman and punch him in the face. And I just really like that about my man, the Joker in The Dark Knight.
He was the most appropriately crazy Joker.
Yeah, it's just great. And then also, since we're from St. Pete, I had to do Aquaman versus Orm, not Norm, Orm, but Patrick Wilson and Aquaman. It's just James Wan being overly stylish, but I just love seeing Patrick Wilson in a final fight in $1 billion grossing film. And then I'm also gonna say I love the bus fight in Shang-Chi. Like that's just a fun fight. It's like a great narrative, and I love a good bus fight. So those are my favorite comic book brawls. I just had to put that out there. I got a lot more answers than I expected, so I'm happy.
There's some bangers there. And I like someone brought up Blade because when you first said you're going to give a list of the comic book movie fights people came up with, I'm like, oh, where's Blade?
And yeah, that second one finale when Blade drops the elbow on the guy, that I lost my mind for that fight. That was awesome. That was a good scrap. But I don't know. Any final thoughts about this movie, John?
Gosh, pretty much said it all, man. Like it doesn't really feel like a comic book movie, but doesn't feel not like a comic book movie. It is clearly the least grimy depiction of Punisher ever. Just like in terms of either physical gore or sunniness and slickness. Like it's like you said, man. All these Punishers are their own entirely different breeds of animal. It's interesting. It's like all the times that you've ever watched a movie and you're like, man, I'd really like to see this movie if this other director did it, or if it was the same movie with the same script with these other actors and the way they would play it. That's kind of what we're getting with these Punishers. We're seeing incredibly different Punishers.
I dig it. It's just so
Um,
different. And I like it. I like that a lot. Now, John, do you want to do a draft or you need to get out of here?
okay, what's the draft? You make me nervous with these drafts. What are we doing?
Comic book movies released before 2008. So the Batman
Before
movies,
2008. Okay.
like before Iron Man and Dark Knight and all those. So
Before 2008.
before we jumped into kind of the renaissance or whatever they call it of that. So is that doable for you?
I can try it.
Okay. And I can give you some hints if you need it. I mean, RoboCop is a comic book movie.
It is?
Yeah, that was based on Darkman and like
I honestly thought RoboCop was a movie and then a comic book. So that's interesting. I didn't realize that.
well, I guess I'm looking at a list here, but I'll accept that if you want to. So
Okay. All right.
Blade,
So
all like the two Blades were out, like all three Blades,
okay. All right.
the X-Men's, the Spider-Mans,
Boy, I'm not. It's just you said before
Time Cop.
2000, before 2008.
Yep.
Okay. Can I pick first?
Yep.
I'm gonna pick Hellboy 2.
Ooh, good pick. Hellboy 2. I like that.
That had the battle with Samael.
I
Oh
like
no,
that.
that was Hellboy 1, but I still love Hellboy 2, The Golden Army, because it had the same bad guy actor, Luke
Goss.
Goss,
Yeah.
as in Blade
Blade
2. He
2.
does a great job. So
Good.
Hellboy 2, that's my pick.
I'm going Batman Returns.
Batman, okay, that honestly was my next up. Okay, all right, okay. Batman, let me think here. Let's see, Hellboy 2.
Sin City was out.
No,
300
no,
was
no,
out.
it's okay. I'm just kind of, I'm trying to think of the lesser thoughts. Although, you know what? When X2 came out, when the first
Oh
X-Men came
yeah,
out,
yeah.
I enjoyed X-Men just because I was finally seeing an X-Men movie. But to compare X2 to X-Men is like comparing filet mignon to a piece of beef jerky I found in the street. Like X2, the action, Wolverine's flip out when Brian Cox was invading this Xavier's school, dude. I mean, so great. So X2 for me.
Great pick. I'll go Blade. I gotta do Blade. That's
Well,
one of my
honestly, I'm
all
going to pick
time.
Blade 2 because I prefer Blade 2. You know, for me, a fight that I'm surprised people didn't bring up from Blade, by the way, is Blade versus the Wolf Pack in the very beginning of Blade
Yeah.
2, the princess and the other dude. That was such fast, even if it was computer augmented, I don't even know. It was so fast and technically sound, and a lot of times you see like these lightsaber fights in the Star Wars movies, and if you really break down what they're doing, they are swinging things that you wouldn't even have to try and block. Like it would miss you. Like if you just watch how they're swinging, they're not swinging in ways that are often good technical fights. Even Darth Maul versus Qui-Gon and Obi-Wan, people were like, wow, and I was with them, wow, because of the stunts. But if you look at the moves that are happening when Darth Maul blocks each of them on either side at the same time, if you look at the techniques they're doing, it's nothing that anyone would ever do, and it's nothing that would ever even land. Whereas in Blade, everything that was blocked, every sword swing that was blocked is something that would have hit.
Yep.
This is like when I sing the praises of Scott Adkins movies for the technical soundness of them. It's just a different game, that Blade 2 Blood Pack fight.
That's a great. Jeez Louise. Oh, I want to go watch it again now. I love that movie, and the club fight's great too. What a good friend. All right, I'm gonna go with The Crow because I bought tickets for White
Ooh.
Fang 2, and I went and watched The Crow, and The Crow is incredible. So I'm gonna go The Crow. What's your fourth pick?
Okay, it wasn't or 2008. All right, all my Henry Cavill Supermans are out.
Hmm.
I don't think I liked Brandon Routh Superman, but not enough to pick him. Uh, okay,
The
right.
Mask, The
You know
Rocketeer.
what? It wasn't the movie that I wanted, but I was young enough that when it came out that I wasn't so critical. I'm gonna say Spawn.
Oh
It
yeah.
had Michael Jai White, who unfortunately his fighting skills were not really applicable to this movie, but John Leguizamo in there as
Hmm.
our demon clown, like that was delicious.
I love me some
Uh,
Johnny Legs in that
I really
movie.
liked it. The CGI was heavy and doesn't hold up well, but I just liked seeing illustrated the Spawn's, ectoplasmically animated chains and cape, and it was just so fun for me. It's because of the time. I bought Spawn #1 in Ocean City, New Jersey, at the Surf Mall, if anyone knows that area and era, and I was so thrilled. Like I was a Spawn fan from day one when I was 12 years old when it came out.
Johnny Legs. That movie, I started it the other day and it was like, oh man, but I still
Yeah,
love
it
it.
does.
Yeah.
It's not going to hold up well.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. 30 Days a Night. I'm gonna take a nice Ben
That's based
Foster.
on a comic book.
Yeah, yeah. Based on a comic book. I
Oh
love that movie.
shit!
David Slade, my man. So what's your final pick, John?
I am okay. It's not great, but I really did appreciate a lot of the stunt work, and I thought that boy, did Jennifer Garner ever bring it. So I'm gonna say Daredevil.
Oh, I like that. I love that movie, man. To Bring Me to
I really
Life
enjoyed it.
and Bullseye, like he's a hoot in that movie. I think he's great.
And Bullseye's opening scene where he's throwing the darts introduced me to the song Top of the Morning to You by House of Pain, which I will, till my deathbed, argue is truly House of Pain's best song. Everyone else only knows Jump Around. I'm sorry, rookie mistake. Top of the Morning to You, best song.
Well, okay, so I could easily take Spider-Man 2 or Constantine, but since your pick is so funky,
Oh, Constantine. That's right.
yeah.
That's a good pick.
Yeah, but I'm
You're
gonna
gonna leave Constantine on the table?
well, because you had fun. So I should have fun. I
If
shouldn't
I
just
thought of it, I would have picked
do you
Constantine
want
earlier,
Constantine?
maybe.
I'll give you
No, 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 no,
Constantine.
no, no, no. I'm happy with my picks. I'm just saying, if I had that in my head, I might have picked it earlier.
Okay. And I mean,
Constantine's a good pick.
and Spider-Man 2 is just an all-timer. So I just don't all right, I'll do Constantine. I'll take Constantine. Yeah,
What was your alternate? What was your alternate that you were thinking
I
of
don't know. I
if
was
it wasn't
working my way
Constantine?
through it. I wasn't
Not
quite
sure.
sure yet. I mean, Rocketeer, but that's pretty popular. Yeah, well, I never did. Oh, you know what? You know what? When did Punisher Warzone come out? I'll take that.
That might be 2007 or 8. I
Oh,
think
that's
you can take that.
2008, so I can't take it. So yeah, I can't take that. But I'm gonna take Constantine. I'll just do that. So that was fun, John. And hey,
Constantine's a good. This is a good. Look at mine, man. Hellboy 2, X2, Blade 2. I've got three twos. Spawn and Daredevil. You know what else was cool? What was it? Why can't I think? I was it Elektra that had oh, why can't I think of his name? He was at Comic-Con with us.
yeah.
As Tattoo.
Yeah. Let me oh
Was
man,
that Elektra?
yeah, he was at Comic Con a lot with us. He was at Comic Con.
Elektra I liked just because of the more fantastical villains.
Oh yeah,
Although
Will Hyun Lee.
that's it.
Yeah,
It was cool seeing him. He was my favorite person, I think. Well, no, not my favorite. I like he was one of my favorites that I met at Comic-Con. So
yeah, he was cool. I wouldn't mind talking about Electra one day. I don't know if it'll ever happen, but I like the Daredevil Electra films. I don't, this they have a personality to them, and I think I always like Jennifer Garner. So
mhm.
it's all right. Well, hey John, where can people find you before we get out of here? I've kept you on too long.
uh John's Horror Corner, Google it. Any social media where I'm not too old to be a member of it, it's probably gonna have me, including on movies, films, and flicks. I've got a little tab up there on the right.
And read all of his reviews. And thank you everybody for all the continued subscriptions of the website and the podcast. It just keeps growing, so it's really fun to see. So really fun to see just our continued growth. So for me, Mark Hoffmeyer, for John Lovingood, it's Movies on the Flicks. We'll see you next week.